on, everybody? Thanks for downloading the Voice of Bedlam podcast. I'm your host, Andrew Santoro. We got a great show for you guys tonight. No Sean, but in his place, we got Sam Stocks coming straight out of the UK, the hardcore hooligan. What's going on, Sam?
All right, guys.
How you doing? Thanks for coming on, man. I know it's probably pretty late there.
Yeah, it's about 10 to midnight here at the moment, but we're staying up to watch the NBA Finals tonight anyway, so it's been a good day so far. England won today, so it's all been positive start to today for me.
Yeah, that's why I sent you England 5, Germany 1.
Yeah.
Yes. We also got Colin over there. How you doing over there, Colin?
What's going on, guys? I, too, am staying up tonight to watch the NBA Finals, but that'll only keep me up until right now in England, midnight.
Awesome.
So sorry about that, Sam.
Yeah.
But you're a trooper. You love your sports. That's good stuff.
Indeed. I appreciate it. But you know what? You know what also kind of keeps us connected other than this show? The cryptocurrency. That it just transfers to any conversion that you need, and it's going to be the revolutionary way that we spend online. So take a few minutes, click on the link that you see on your screen or the link that you see in the description, and learn more about the growing trend called cryptocurrency.
All right.
So,
John,
also,
we didn't get to hear from you in the intro.
I know.
How you been doing?
I know. Well, this is like my Friday, so this is I'm feeling the weekend coming soon. So, but let's get right into our daily breakdown.
All right, we're going to start things off with the Cowboys. Talking about Darren McFadden. The running back, Darren McFadden, breaking his elbow over Memorial Day weekend over some cell phone mishap or something. I don't know. A lot of people are saying that it's a cell phone elbow gate. Like, it's not the real
elbow
story.
gate.
It's not the real story. No, not like as blown out of proportion. They're just saying, some people are saying that they don't believe it. He's saying he was dropping his iPhone S, and when he was diving to pick it up, he fractured his elbow a week ago and went to practice. I don't know, and didn't tell anybody. So what do you guys think about this?
Yeah, what do you guys think?
I think it more carries for Ezekiel Elliott. That's how I see it.
Now, how much of a good thing is that? Now, I mean, luckily they do have Alfred Morris in there as well. I mean, because even though he's
injury prone as well.
Yeah, but I do like Ezekiel Elliott, but I don't think he should have to be like, number one back. But McFadden, they're saying he's questionable for the Giants game, but still, you don't want too much to be thrown on the rookie, I think, even though you do want him to get the reps. What do you think, Colin?
I feel like running backs that are rookies actually have a decent amount of success. I mean, there's going to be some injuries that pop up and going to be some busts, like Melvin Gordon didn't perform last year. But look at what Todd Gurley did last year. Look at what Le'Veon Bell did the year before. I don't think there's too much to worry about. Behind that strong offensive line in Dallas, I still think that Zeke Elliott can take, 200 to 300 carries and be okay.
Yeah, last year, though, he ran for 1,000 yards with them Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, 1,089.
So, given that the offensive line there is so well respected, this is the chance for Ezekiel Elliott to basically hit the ground running, no pun intended. But honestly, the transition, to the pro game is going to be a little bit different for him. Although the Alabama system, was and most of the other collegiate programs have switched over to a pro system. So, given that fact that Alfred Morris is the other person competing for a starting position, I see Ezekiel Elliott now being the number one running back there, and Alfred Morris just kind of being the third down, punch it up for 2 yards, possibly. I see him being used as a third down back now.
Well, now it's funny
which changes my views now on them Cowboys, because I had them taking it all. What are you thinking, Sam?
I don't think, well, as far as him having to carry the workload, I don't think that's too much of a worry, because what top 5 running back in the draft has not had to be the guy straight away. Every running back that goes in the first round or two comes in having to carry the workload and be the main guy. Last year, both the running backs, Melvin Gordon and Todd Gurley, that went in the first round, didn't go as high as Elliott, weren't as good a prospects as Elliott, and they had not as good at offensive lines, and they were relied on to carry the workload all season for their teams. So I don't think that's too much of a concern. And they, like you said, they've got Alfred Morris as well in there, who's pretty solid running back.
When he's healthy, right?
Yeah.
See, now, it's funny, John, that you said Zeke hit the ground running, because all the news all over Twitter from all the beat guys and everything at minicamp is how good, I think they said 3 times Romo got it out to Zeke in the flats. And they're saying that the passing game, they're really starting to see something that could be nice with him running as well as coming out of the backfield. Now, that's Zeke, but as far as McFadden goes, I mean, he caught 40 passes for 328 yards. So, Sam, I want to ask you, McFadden, now he didn't really get, he didn't get the starting role really till the 6th game. 40 passes, 328 yards. Will Zeke Elliott do better than that in his rookie year?
I think so. If you look at what Zeke's done for his college career, he's had a huge impact in the passing game as well as running. And he says that he learned all the route trees with the wide receivers at Ohio State, and I think he tries to learn to run the routes as well as a wide receiver, and he's got far better route running than Darren McFadden, I'd say. So I'd expect him to go for 50 or 60 passes and maybe 400 or 500 yards catching.
Okay, all right. So now, as far as what is too early to take Ezekiel Elliott in fantasy? Where do you guys see the rookie, but Zeke Elliott? What round maybe?
Well, now
first rounder to me.
What was that, Colin?
Yeah, I've got.
We all jump on that.
And he's on NFL rankings. He's ranked as the 8th player in PPR at the moment. So that's first round.
Yeah,
wow.
that's a.
Wow. I haven't really.
Second running back behind Le'Veon Bell.
Yep. Yeah. Which we got draft tomorrow, right, guys?
Yeah.
Sure do.
Not me. I'm not in that one.
I called myself Devil John and the Devilettes.
Well, that's a good time for us to put in a little plug for the fantasy league we're going to be having, and we're going to be having a listener league. Everybody's going to be a part of it, so we'll get you the deets out soon. We're planning it out. Now, we were talking about Alfred Morris a little bit. Now, one thing that is a little bit concerning. Now, yes, he had 3 seasons with over 1,000 yards coming out as a rookie, and that is phenomenal. Oh, where are you going, John? Where are you going?
Sorry.
Yeah, he had 3 seasons over 1,000 yards consecutive, but each time they went down. Now, rookie year, we're looking at 1,600, sophomore 1,200, last year 1,070, or 2 years ago 1,074. Didn't reach the 1,000-yard mark. This year it's 751. So, I mean, it was a lot because of injury, but does Morris have any fantasy value? Anyone?
As a handcuff, yes, definitely. If you're going to grab Ezekiel Elliott, then you have to handcuff him with Alfred Morris.
So what do you think, Sam?
I think Morris as a late round pick to handcuff with Zeke in case Zeke gets injured or is out for any reason. But then my worry would be you might have to do the same with McFadden. You don't really want to be spending 2 of your later round picks on running backs that potentially are just going to be 2nd and 3rd choices all year and aren't going to get only that many points, because if Zeke goes out, what's to say that McFadden doesn't get the majority of carries over Morris?
Yeah.
So I think maybe in bigger leagues as a late round pick he might have some value, but I don't see him as a starter for any teams really in fantasy this year.
Well, one thing that you can get tremendous value from is K&N replacement air filters.
Yeah.
So now if you need a new oil filter or air filter, you guys need to go to knfilters.com/podcast. You got to throw in that /podcast so you can take advantage of a special deal where you can get a free hat, free shipping, and a great deal on most products. So go over to knfilters.com/podcast now.
Yes, which it's time for me to get a new air filter, so I actually hit them up, which I'll get my K&N hat soon.
Taking advantage of the promotions, my man.
Oh, well, I needed it too because I trust it.
No,
so,
good.
So
They should send us some for free, actually.
well, I trust their product. If they love me enough that they want to send some K&N stuff for a 2008 Jeep Grand Cherokee, by all means, send it on over.
All right.
That's a 3.7 engine.
Let's get back over with the
Daily Breakdown. Yes.
And let's talk about Brandon Marshall of the Broncos agreeing to a 4-year, $32 million extension. Now, mind you, we're going to segue into Von Miller here. But what do you guys think about Brandon Marshall getting signed? Colin, what have you heard about it?
Yeah, so Brandon Marshall, 4 years, $32 million total. If I was the Broncos, I think it's a great signing because you want to lock up as many of those defenders on that side of the ball as you can. You got Mark Sanchez as your quarterback, so any strength that you have on the defensive side of the ball, and I know they lost a couple other players to free agency, you got to lock up the ones that want to stick around. So I'd say Brandon Marshall is a key piece of that.
Absolutely. I mean, and they do, a lot of that defense was free agent players a little bit towards the end of their career, like Talib, who, is definitely a little questionable right now, I guess.
Yeah.
But so they do got to make sure they shore up them younger guys. Now, before we get to Von Miller, because we're going to spend a little bit more time on him, Brandon Marshall, 5 years experience, 102 tackles last year, a sack and a half, forced fumble, and an INT. Now, Von Miller, on the other hand, John, bring up Von Miller's numbers. Now, Von Miller, this story gets a little confusing. Yesterday, it was being reported all over the place that Von Miller said, where's the quote here? He said, we still have a month. I just can't see myself with any other team. My boys, TJ, Akib, Kavan, DeMarcus Ware, all of those guys, I built very, very close relationships with those guys, and I would like to continue to build that for the rest of my career, end quote. However, today, so this statement was released yesterday, that being Wednesday. Today, Thursday, Von Miller tweets out, I forget which platform he put it out on, but he said, under no circumstance, I'm paraphrasing, under no circumstance will he play under the franchise tag in 2016, saying he will sit out. What happened in the past 24 hours to swing it from one direction to the other direction? Sam, what do you think about that?
At the end of the day, it all comes down to money. He's seen the other contracts that have been given out this off-season to defensive linemen and pass rushers like Olivier Vernon that is nowhere near the player he is, and he's looking at those and thinking, I should be getting paid far more than that.
You're absolutely right. Yep.
So, I mean, the Broncos should have really tried. I think they could have tried to lock him up sooner with a deal, because this Fletcher Cox deal's only made things worse for them, because you've got to add probably another $1 million or $2 million a year to whatever he's getting with a bit more guaranteed money.
And not only that, now, if the Broncos weren't going to be willing to dig deep to keep him, who has the money left to dig deep and grab him and still be able to function as a franchise? Because it's going to be a heavy payday for them. Like who out there has them pockets?
Absolutely. I mean, it's not like. Oh, go ahead, Sam. Go ahead.
I'm not sure at the moment what team can afford to kind of match the kind of deal he'd get or offer him a contract should the Broncos not be able to agree to terms with him.
All right, then let me rephrase my question then. Who do you think is going to clear up the space to bring him in?
Exactly. It's going to be a lot of money. Like so many teams this late in free agency couldn't, but that would mean for somebody to bring him in, they would have to cut him. I don't see the Broncos cutting him.
Well, the
no-
Panthers cut Josh Norman, and they lifted that tag for him so that he could be signed. So I didn't see that coming.
That is true.
So
that is true.
So we'll see. You know,
I mean, Von Miller's a Super Bowl MVP, though. He's performed, like each and every year. Like Josh Norman has really just come on recently. I think that is a great comparison. They played each other in the Super Bowl, but I do view Von Miller of more importance to Denver than Josh Norman is to Carolina. You got guys like Kuechly, K'Wan Short. I mean, you could list a bunch of names for Denver as well, but Von Miller, I don't know. I just see him at a different level.
But Von Miller is, if we want to, use a quick comparison so everybody understands, he's the Jenga to that defense. People may disagree and say that DeMarcus Ware is, but I think Von Miller's the Jenga for that defense. If you don't have Von Miller there, that defense is going to start falling apart.
Yeah, that's pretty much exactly what I was saying. He's more of an integral part to that scheme. Carolina's defense as a whole.
He's the Luke Kuechly for them.
Exactly. Yes. But with that being said, we got to tell you guys about where this recording is being brought to you by, and that's basically podbean.com. Well, it's not basically podbean.com.
It
is podbean.com. And if you guys want to get a free month to start your own show just like this about any topic you want, get it up there on iTunes, Podbean, and really get heard, you guys need to get your month free at podbean.com/r/bedlam. So the coupon code is Bedlam, just like the show. Once again, it's podbean.com/r/bedlam. With that,
you know what? Hold on. I'm going to add a little bonus. All right, guys? If you sign up for that month, right, and you screenshot the fact that you signed up, email us at staff@voiceofbedlam.com, and we will guest on your show.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good one, John. Agreed.
So, and you could choose any of us. How about that? I'm going to throw everyone under the bus. Everybody's at disposal.
All right, but let's get back.
I did not sign up for this.
Let's get back to the daily breakdown, and we're kind of going to talk about two different teams right now, but the Ravens cut ties with offensive tackle Eugene Monroe. Now, as a Giants fan, my ears instantly perked up. The Baltimore Ravens released the left tackle on Wednesday and announced in the news, when they announced this in the news, now they've kind of tried to step over their words a little bit since time has passed, but they made note to say that his view on marijuana was not the team's view. Now, to go back a couple shows ago, you could see opioids versus cannabis, or cannabis versus opioids, when Eugene Monroe came out and said that they need to lift the ban because it's better than all of the painkillers everyone is being subscribed.
Yeah.
But now the Ravens are saying that had nothing to do with it, but they were, before they cut ties with him, in talks with the New York Giants for a trade. Now, they're saying that the trade fell through, but the Giants are still showing tremendous amount of interest in Eugene Monroe. But see, he has missed a lot of time over the past 2 years, but PFF, ProFootballFocus.com, scored him at a 79.1 overall grade, according to their site. Now, that's a nice grade. That's an above average starter.
Above average, yeah.
That's above average starter right there. And I mean,
he's no Ryan Khalil.
Exactly. A team like the Giants could really use that, and he has been tied to them. They're also saying that I believe San Francisco and Miami are talking to him as well, but he likes the Giants' offer. What do you guys think? John, what do you think about that?
What do I think? Honestly, I think it's a lot of BS. If a team is going to cite with big pharmaceutical and get people addicted to opium, and then I have a problem with that, and I have a problem with the way that you operate with your organization. If you're going to basically nullify someone's human right to free speech, and for him speaking his mind about the subject, then I also have a problem with that. Because that's a wrongful termination just because he believes that he'd rather smoke a plant than become addicted to opium.
Synthetic forms. Oh.
Yeah, it's a synthetic form, but then what happens is this. The people, and I've seen it so many times, and I'm sure that, the trend that I've seen, most of us have seen, it starts with the pills, and then the pills become too expensive, then the pills ultimately lead to the junk, and then the junk leads ultimately to your grave.
Now, let me jump in here and tell you guys, we don't know where Eugene Monroe's gonna land. Will it be New York? Will it be San Francisco? But one thing we do know is you can see all those games over at DirecTV if you sign up for the Sunday ticket now. Make sure to take advantage of the early bird special. Now, call DirecTV at 855-668-9061 to take care of this special promotion. So make sure you guys hit them up, get the NFL Sunday Ticket Max package. Now, you'll get the entire sports package with that. We're talking NBC Sports, CBS Sports, Fox Sports 1, all the channels. So if you're really a sports fan or just a TV fan in general, make sure you call DirecTV at 855-668-9061.
So, just real quick though, Sam, what do you think about the releasing of Monroe?
I think it's a bit of a strange one, but you see sometimes when teams just think that a player is a bit of a headache, and it seems like there's probably a lot going on behind the scenes that we haven't found out about that's contributed to this. Because
that's true. To
simply just cut the player rather than giving up on the trade and just completely cutting him or trying to restructure a deal or sort something out with him, there must have been a lot going on behind the scenes to motivate them to think that a player that was a starter, and like you said, an above average starter for them, was worthy of just being cut there and then. Well, there must have been a lot going on over a period of time as well, I think.
They do have a backup plan in place, that being 6th overall pick Ronnie Stanley, who they took in the 2016 draft. Also, they're going to save $6.5 million in salary cap by releasing Monroe. Now, Colin, do you got anything to say about this, or should we get into our next segment?
Just my only point is that he has missed 15 games over the last two seasons with absolutely. A ton of injuries. So, like Sam said, if he's a bit of a headache, if he's missing time due to injury, and he's just speaking up on things that, regardless of how we feel about it, John Harbaugh said he doesn't speak for the organization. That's the right way to approach it, because you can't just have a bad seed in your locker room. So you know what? It's probably better for him. It's better for the Ravens. I can imagine everybody feeling at the end of the day that they won.
Yeah. So now, Colin, why is he a bad seed? Are you insinuating he's a bad seed because of his stance on the legalization of marijuana, or for another reason?
He's just attracting attention for.
He's being a distraction.
I agree with him. It is certainly distracting when they have OTAs going on and he's just over here screaming about drugs. Regardless of whether or not you agree with him or not, it's distracting from what's going on the field. And I would imagine the Ravens weighed that in to their decision to cut him.
Now, he's been the most outspoken athlete about this matter, and he has started a website about it. I don't think we have the URL, but it's just basically his stance and the reasons why.
Well, it's a good reason and a good stance to take, because, speaking from somebody that has seen a lot of good people fall into that trap, because most of the time people go to the doctor and trust their opinion to get well. They don't expect to be addicted to the pills that are given to them. They willingly take it with the hopes that, hey, my educated doctor that spent many years in school to learn to be this, doctor is going to treat me right. But fortunately or unfortunately, we all have opinions, and they will always be varying in the matter. So the only thing I can say is that I hope that there is a little bit more of a human element being brought back into medicine, because obviously with pills being one of the most heavily abused drugs now in this country, we need to address the issue. And just like how Rage Against the Machine said, it has to start someplace. And it has to start
sometime.
What better place than here, and what better time than now? But also, I got one little news item. I know you guys don't want to hear this, but Ron Rivera signed an extension through 2018. So
I hadn't heard anything about that.
Oh yeah. Oh, I stay up on the pulse of them Panthers because.
So what did you say, through 1,000 for two? Wow,
yeah,
1,000.
He's. I think
2018.
It was 2018. So he signed that extension to be there until 2018, and
that's really. I would think
he turned that franchise around.
Why did they give him a bigger extension though?
Why? Because
that's kind of short, in my opinion.
I don't know why. But
He's
then
young,
again,
he rebuilt the franchise, took him to a Super Bowl,
correct.
3 consecutive division titles, and Cam's playing with broken backs. You know what I mean? And like the car accident and all that. Like, why would they not lock him up for a longer amount of time? All right, guys, but now we're gonna wrap up the daily breakdown, and we're gonna bring back the player card, but we're going to start changing up the player card a little bit, and we're going to use it to mainly focus on retired players, and not just retired players, but more from the early days of football. A lot more leather helmet and into the 50s, 60s, a lot of pre-Super Bowl era, but also, probably throughout the 70s as well. I don't think we're really going to be working in too many 80s players, but it's going to be a throwback type thing. And today on Throwback Thursday, Devil John's gonna get things rolling with Jim Thorpe.
You can't really when you asked about this, that was the first person that came to mind.
First person that came to my mind, also
because I also played lacrosse, so I knew about his prestigious background. But just to give everybody a little short background here, he was born May 22nd, 1887. Whew. All right, in Oklahoma, which was on reservation land at that time. He was
an American Indian.
Right? All right, he died March 28th at the age of 65 in Lomita, California. So he didn't stay in Oklahoma. But James Francis Thorpe, he stood about 6'1", and he weighed 202 in his heydays. He graduated from Carlisle College. And he attended there from 1907 to 1912. Okay, now, although he earned through those years, he earned All-American honors in back-to-back years in 1911 and 1912.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, he was even probably better known for his college performance.
Oh heck yeah!
You know what I mean? Like,
well, it got him into the Olympics, but in college he played baseball, lacrosse. And do you know that in 2000 and in the 1912? See, I almost pulled a Santoro over here. Pulled a Santoro. That's what we're gonna call it
decades
now. Yeah, changing decades now.
Centuries.
But in 1912, he won the Intercollegiate Ballroom Dancing Championship.
Oh, there you go. I didn't know about that.
So he was good on his feet.
He was just an all-around athlete.
But in football, he played running back, defensive back. He was the place kicker and punter. Okay, so you can't really be on the field any more than this man was. In an upsetted game it was an 18-15 upset over Harvard. He scored 4 field goals and a touchdown.
Wow.
All right. So then also in 1912, Carlisle won the national championship. I'm sure that, I don't know, I've never heard of Carlisle, so I don't think they're going to get another national championship, but they got one because of Jim. And that was over Army with a 27-6. And can you guess what, former president played in that game against Jim Thorpe?
Former president?
Yeah, there's a former president that played against him, and then also mentioned him in his in a speech.
We're talking early 1900s.
Ronald Reagan.
Shut up.
Dwight Eisenhower.
Dwight Eisenhower.
Yes,
huh?
yes, Dwight Eisenhower. Okay, he recalled because the way that he won that game was a 97-yard touchdown. Okay, but not to add the insult to injury. That was because the reason why it was a 97-yard rush was because he scored a 92-yard rushing touchdown, but it got called back because of a
And it
penalty.
got longer. Yo, I used to love when that would happen in Madden when I'd be playing against the computer. Like I'm talking like on like Super NES or Sega, and I like it because I'd have it set on like super easy, and I liked when I got the holding penalty because my touchdown on the next play would be even longer because you just scored a touchdown on every single
And
play.
yeah, and your blood's boiling, and you just want to get it. I'm like that with Madden as well. But also, Dwight Eisenhower quoted Jim Thorpe's performance as this, and I quote: "Here and there are some people who are supremely endowed. My memory goes back to Jim Thorpe. He never practiced in his life, and he could do anything better than any football player I ever saw."
Now that's a quote of the former president.
Yeah, that's the former president, Dwight Eisenhower, in regards to him. You know who else it reminds me of? More of like our era? Bo Jackson.
I can see that, yeah. I
'Cause
was
Bo
thinking,
Jackson was that
Deion
guy.
Sanders as well.
Deion Sanders practiced. Bo Jackson
Yeah.
did not
There
practice
you
that
go.
much.
Okay, all right,
It's like
okay.
he's almost like, like we're like talking the difference between Kobe and Allen Iverson. We're talking about practice, man. We're talking about practice.
Playoffs?
Yeah, but all that collegiate numbers in his multi athletic ability on the lacrosse field, the ballroom floor.
He was
it got him
multi-sport athlete.
exactly. So he got himself to the 19 and 12 Stockholm games, and he's an All-American, and then went on to the NFL in the early days. So that's obviously why he's in the player card. But
You need to improve there, John.
yeah, I'm
Sam, do you know? Sam, what do you think about some of the throwback players? Like, you got an opinion on Jim Thorpe, or what do you think?
But he was also a coach.
Well, it's not a player I've heard of much before, but it's a bit weird. The ballroom dances is a little bit random thrown in there for me. It's amazing when you get these players come on every now and then that are just so insanely talented that they can play multiple sports to a professional level and ridiculously high levels that most people could practice and train all their life for one sport and never even get close to making it.
Yeah, this day and age, the football players have to play football and then go to ballroom dancing. This man ballroom danced and then went to play football.
Who was it that used to do ballet? One of the players from the 70s.
I'm not sure.
Was it Walter Payton?
Yes, I think so, actually.
So maybe not that old, but yeah. But Walter.
Yeah, it's not too old. Yeah, I was about to say.
Yeah, but I think it might. Don't quote me on that. But
Well, there's a lot of players that incorporated that in there because of how nimble you need to be, and that flexibility. I will never dog out dancers ever for saying that it's not like
That's a lot of cardio, too.
You're not an athlete.
I am not a cardio person.
Dance. But to wrap it up, Jim Thorpe, he's an all-American hero. From the reservation lands, and to the hearts of many Americans, and he's a true-blooded all-American.
All right, now, basically, we're going to wrap that up. And we have been doing our 4-minute hut, going division by division, and talking about the strengths and weaknesses. We've gone through the AFC and NFC East and the NFC South. But we're going to take a break from that. And the main reason we got the hardcore hooligan, Sam Stocks, on the lines is to do an article spotlight on his... I don't have the exact title. Sam, what's the title of the article?
It's Sam Stock's top 10 wide receivers of the Super Bowl era.
Now, you're going to be doing a whole series on this, right? You're going to be doing running backs, quarterbacks, right?
Yeah, I'm going to be doing running backs tomorrow, so Friday, the running back should be up.
Yeah, so make sure you guys go over to
tight
Voice of
ends and
Bedlam.
quarterbacks.
Make sure you guys go over to voiceofbedlam.com tomorrow on Friday and check out Sam's top 10 running backs of the Super Bowl era. But Sam, why don't you get things moving
with our Foam in the Hut?
Or what?
Foam in the Hut!
All right, Sam. Run through your top 10 for me.
So number 1, I had Jerry Rice. Number 2, Terrell Owens. Number 3, Randy Moss. Number 4, Antonio Brown. Number 5, Steve Largent. Number 6, Calvin Johnson. Number 7, Michael Irving. Number 8, I had Larry Fitzgerald. Number 9 was Chris Carter. And number 10, I put in Marvin Harrison.
All right, now I want to jump in and comment on this first. Now, I really like the fact that you put Steve Largent on there. Now, John, bring up Largent.
Steve Largent, there you go.
All right. Now, Steve Largent entered the Hall of Fame in, 1995?
1995 induction time, yes.
All right. Now, he had 819 receptions, over 1,300 yards, with 100 TDs, averaging 16 yards a catch. Now, I think he goes unnoticed in a lot of people when talking about wide receivers. Do you agree, Sam?
Yeah, I agree completely. What is interesting about him, the kind of story on him was he struggled to kind of get into the NFL and get a look in with any teams because of his size. But he had what a lot of players who played with him at the time described as like really natural hands and route running. So he just kind of had a natural flow to the game, and he's been kind of talked about recently as he was kind of the Odell Beckham before Odell Beckham because he had the natural hands and could catch with one-handed passes with ease.
Now, go ahead.
That shows with 13,000 yards in his career. You don't get that kind of.
Yeah, it's almost 1,000. That's averaging almost 1,000 a season. That's nothing to shake your finger.
Only playing 14 games back then.
I know. Yeah,
especially
and shorter.
In that era of NFL is. I was just saying, in that era of the NFL, there's way less passing going on than there is today too. So stats are going to be more padded in today's NFL because the passing game is just way more prevalent comparatively to the era that Steve Largent was playing in.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, it was a lot harder to put up those amount of numbers, less games. Run game was a much bigger feature. I mean, the fullback still existed. But, John, now I got a couple other players I want to ask Sam about. But, John, who stood out to you on this list? Who do you want to hear?
Honestly, the one that stood out the most is that Michael Irving's on there, and he too almost averaged around 1,000, but I think that I don't think he deserves to be on the top 10.
3 Super Bowls?
No.
3 Super Bowls.
His conduct off the field ultimately takes him off of my list because of his crack cocaine problem.
But what about Lawrence Taylor? Is he off the best linebackers of all time list because of his coke problem?
No
way.
Yeah, why not?
Oh,
yeah, why not?
Oh my! What?
If we're gonna ostracize people for speaking up against medical marijuana, then I'm gonna ostracize them for all the other controlled substances.
Okay, but see, I was
Schedule 1.
Now you had 2 players on here that are still in the NFL. That being Larry Fitzgerald, and what number did you put Larry Fitzgerald in? And Antonio Brown was number 4, I believe.
Although where's Chris Carter? Because Chris Carter
number
should be higher.
8. Chris Carter was number 8, I believe.
Chris Carter was number 9. Larry Fitzgerald was number 8.
Okay.
But why don't you talk about the 2 current players first? Now, what really made you convinced to put these guys on this list? Being, Antonio Brown's only been playing since 2010, and you have him as the 4th best wide receiver of all time.
Taken into consideration with Antonio Brown, the potential as well a little bit, and also I think even excluding the potential, look at the last 3 seasons, the run he's had with kind of almost record-breaking numbers in receptions and having 1,800 yards, 1,600 yards, and like 1,500 yards.
Yeah.
We haven't really seen any receiver have a 3-year run where they've been this dominant for a long, long time.
Now, what about Calvin Johnson?
Calvin Johnson, I think he's a bit disappointing because you kind of almost want to put him higher, but when you look back through what he actually did, he kind of didn't really live up to the second overall pick as much as people thought. People thought he was going to be the best receiver ever.
Agree with that. I always say that. See, you said that you were thinking maybe a bit higher. I'm thinking maybe a bit lower. I think, now don't get me wrong, Calvin Johnson should be a Hall of Famer, but I think when it comes to being like the best of all time, I think he's more towards the back of that pack. He's in that pack, but he's just, I don't know. I think he was a slight bit overrated.
Yeah, there's honestly, now that I'm taking a little bit more of a look into who's who here, Randy Moss is, he's got to be a little bit higher.
Well, he's number 3.
Yeah, above T.O.
So, yes, I agree with that.
Above
I think
T.O.
you put T.O. a little high. Can you explain putting T.O. over at number 2?
Why is T.O. so high?
Because T.O.'s the top 3 wide receiver. Go ahead, Sam, but come on, guys.
Hey, be quiet. Hey, be quiet, Eagles fan. He got you to the Super Bowl and you still lost. All right.
I think.
Yeah, exactly. He got us to the Super Bowl
and lost.
Yeah, whatever. Go ahead, Sam, please. I don't want to talk about it.
Sorry.
Yeah, whatever. That's a real good rebuttal right there, Colin. I don't ever want you to be my defense attorney. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, whatever. He's guilty. Let him die.
But Sam, let's hear.
Why is T.O. so high though?
Jerry Rice is definitely the number 1, and then I think it's between Terrell Owens and Randy Moss for 2 and 3. It really depends what you'd like there, but I mean,
what gives Owens the edge? What gives Owens the edge?
Yeah, Randy Moss had like Dante Culpepper thrown to him.
Yeah, but Owens had like ridiculous statistics, and he's second and third in yards and touchdowns over his career, and that's with like missing games and all of the other stuff that went on and came with him. But in his prime, when he got going, he would take over a game like almost no other receiver could. He had a ridiculous combination of speed and height and ability to just completely take over a game when he got going. And in his prime, he was pretty much untouchable. And I think that just gives him the edge over Randy Moss slightly there.
Now, I don't know. I have to give it to the West Virginian boy because honestly, the way T.O. when he came out in the 49ers, he made a statement when he went out there and disrespected the star, which I didn't mind that he did that, but it ultimately set the precedence of what kind of player he was going to be moving forward, because everywhere he went, he left a trail of controversy. And
John, you're such a good guy with your defending of the gorillas and your hammering on those people with bad reputations who are a little bit on edge or had a drug problem. You're just such a good guy, John. What a gentleman you are. You're soft is what I'm trying to say. You're a soft man. T.O.'s top 3, no doubt about it.
Colin, what's your...
but he's not number 2. he is number 2 in the bowl, but not number 2 on the pole.
I'm not saying that. But Colin, what's your thoughts of the list on a whole, as a whole?
Well, as far as I've always thought about it, I couldn't agree more with Sam's top 3. I'd probably also do Moss above Owens, but I think that's really a coin flip there. You mentioned Calvin Johnson, and I probably would have put him in the list over an Antonio Brown, because Antonio Brown's really only, and Sam, you said that it's based a lot on potential, and trust me, I'm a firm believer in Antonio Brown. Likelihood to flourish over the next several years, but he's really only been a star wide receiver for like 2 to 3 years now, so I can see why
he's had over 1,000 yards for the past 3 straight years. But go ahead, Colin.
Sure, yeah, just saying, like, he's shown that he's a star wide receiver in this league, but only for 3 seasons, and I know he's still on the right side of 30, so I would expect him to be a no-brainer in this list as his career comes to an end, hopefully 8 to 10 years from now, but having him at number 4, I would say is maybe premature at this point, but when it's all said and done, I don't think I'll have any argument against it.
Can I ask, in 8 to 10 years' time, how high do you reckon Antonio Brown kind of will be? Because I think if he carries on at this pace and plays 12, 13 seasons, he's going to break all the records for catches, yards, touchdowns, as well as potentially looking at what he does in the return game with punt returns and kick return. Yeah. He can climb high up the all-time leaders in them as well.
Is he capable?
I think he's well on his way to being number 2. I don't think he can touch Jerry Rice's 20 seasons.
That's what I was just going to ask. That's what I was
95. Almost untouchable. Like, you know what? He gets a lot of yards, but the other weapons on that Steelers offense right now that he doesn't score. Like, he doesn't normally get touchdowns. So he'll get his yardage, and I think he'll get closer to Jerry's 22,895 than he will his 197 touchdowns.
There's one wide receiver though, Sam, I think you left out on the list, and maybe that's why I feel a little salty that Michael Irving's on this list and he's not. Why isn't the 1987 Heisman Trophy winner Tim Brown not on the list?
That one slipped my mind. I got one too, but
because all right, just so you guys got some of the career stats: 1,094 receptions, 14,934 yards, 19,684 all-purpose yards, and 105 touchdowns.
Now, Sam,
he's a Pro Football Hall of Famer and College Football Hall of Famer.
Now, Sam, before you comment, I just want to throw this in there because my player is also a Raider. I thought you should have I want to hear why you didn't have Fred Biletnikoff on there. But I think I might know what your reason is. But why are you disrespecting the Raiders, Sam?
It's nothing against the Raiders. I think with Tim Brown, it was definitely a hard one to leave off the list, and he was right up there. But with him, he only had 2 years where he was an All-Pro, so he had 9 Pro Bowl years, but that kind of elite level where you're in the top 3 or 4 in the league to make the All-Pro, he only had that twice in his career in 88 and 97, which I think kind of against the kind of 5 or 6 that you see from some of these guys on the list, All-Pro years where they've had big years, has kind of let him down there. I think a lot of his statistics came from kind of quite a long career from 88 till 2003 with the Raiders.
Yeah, and then he finished up with your Buckies.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but,
just real quick.
he definitely is right there. If you put an 11,
that's why I'm a little concerned of why you didn't put him on there. I was like, dang, he even finished out as a Buccaneer, and you didn't even give him no love.
Now, what about the Hall of Famer Fred Biletnikoff with 76 touchdowns over 8,974 yards? What about Fred Biletnikoff?
That's 14 seasons too.
Well, Biletnikoff is a bit behind some of these in yards. We look even down at Irvin, he's down at 7, it's 11,000 yards, and then Fitzgerald 13,000 yards. That 8,000, just under, around 9,000 yards. Yeah. Down at 10 with Marvin Harrison, we got 14,000 yards. So he's kind of a bit behind in numbers.
See, I was mostly concerned with Harrison. I think you can bump off Harrison. Biletnikoff played in a different era, and I mean, people say he was one of the most crisp route runners of all time. I think it's funny that you brought up Marvin Harrison because that is probably the one person I would take off the list.
There should be a sliding scale for all those past players that did not play 16 games, 14 games.
That's rough,
to not be able to rack up the numbers like you can now with these longer seasons, and then soon we're going to even have longer seasons. So, the potential for players to, rack up yards, rack up TDs, and rack up the stats is going to be through the roof. So, I guess we have to make up like a sliding scale so that we can, keep all these Hall of Famers and different era players relevant within how they would have been in those systems, regardless of how many games they played.
Yeah, I would say football more than any other of the four major sports is the sport that has evolved the most and changed the most. Like, if you guys are talking like baseball, for example, like the home run records are still kind of beatable today, but like the football records of old are almost always going to be beatable when it comes to passing stats right passing. Now. Like they're all going to get shattered in the next like 10 to 15 years. All those passing stats that we've revered for so long, like, how many have we seen now? Brett Favre breaks the touchdown record. Tom Brady does the most. Yeah, Tom Brady beats the most touchdown passes in a season. I'm not sure whose that was, but there's been a lot of passing records beaten. Okay. Yeah. So we all, it's all fresh in your memories because
it's been beaten twice.
It happens so frequently now.
Absolutely. I also think the sack records, all the sack records are definitely in danger. But people, well, with the exception of Adrian Peterson, it seems like a lot of the running back records will be safe.
Yeah, at least for a little while.
Now, Sam, I know you paraphrase this with it being Super Bowl era, and this guy isn't Super Bowl era, but I'm just curious, if you were to make an exception to that qualifier, where, if at all, would you put Frank Gifford on this list? Now, mind you, Frank Gifford also averaged 4.3 yards on the ground, as well as 34 touchdowns on the ground, and he had over 5,000 yards in his career with, where are the touchdowns? 43 touchdowns via the pass, 34 via the run. Would you put him on this list if he was a Super Bowl era player?
I think he's a bit different because
threat has been detected.
His yards are quite split between rushing and receiving, and he's only got limited 367 receptions compared to the 1,000+ that most players on this list have.
He did miss 2 straight years due to a neck injury.
Yeah,
but he did have 6 years where he was All-Pro, including 5 straight years, and I think it's hard to sometimes compare these players because the eras are so different. The rules as well with defensive backs and pass interference was so
that's why I said we need a sliding scale to really evaluate the different eras so that everybody kind of can be evaluated evenly and be like, hey, if Frank Gifford played today, he would have put up these numbers, based off of
you'd have
these
to figure
rules.
out some equation to get there.
Yeah, it would be some complex algorithm that my left-handedness will not allow. I can process words and colors really well, but when it comes to numbers...
Okay. But, oh, man. But I forget what I was going to say now. Sam, so why don't you talk about, give us a little bit of a preview of the article you'll be doing tomorrow.
So the running backs one is really an interesting one when you get into it because it's quite easy to forget until you look back over the last 20, 30 years just how many awesome running backs there has been, and to try and limit a group of about 20, 25 guys down to a top 10 is really, really hard because there's going to be some big names that are going to get left off
the list.
Well, let me just say this now. I'm going to preamble, all right, with all due respect, which everybody already knows. With all due respect follows something possibly insulting. If Bo Jackson is left off that list, we are going to have some fighting words, and you're going to have to bring that article back onto the show so we can argue that because.
Oh, he's going to be back on the show with that article. He will be.
Yeah. But if Bo Jackson is not on that list, sir, we're going to have some arguing words.
And now, all throughout the offseason and camp and all that, Sam is going to be releasing articles like this, tight ends, quarterbacks, and he is going to come on and do a similar segment like we did today. But I do want to double back real quick. When you were talking about the rules, I was going to say, talking about the rules and the different eras, Fred Biletnikoff, I think it has to be mentioned that he is pretty much like the king of Stickum. If you look at some of these pictures, playing on the Raiders, under Madden, Al Davis, winning Super Bowl, what Super Bowl did they win, the Raiders? Is it 11? Yeah, Super
Yes.
Bowl 11. And I mean, you can see in all the NFL films, just like it looks like honey or something like that, just like stuck in his socks all over him on his elbows. But it was allowed back then.
Yeah.
And people say he had the best hands of all time, not Jerry Rice. But I mean, but Jerry Rice has also said
Yeah,
that
he
he's
used
used
stickum.
stickum as
Yeah,
well.
I was about to
So,
say.
I don't know.
Back then it was like pine tar, so which is almost the same thing as stickum today. Anyway, it's pine tar.
Now, Jerry Rice also caught bricks with his father, which is what he really attributes his soft hands for.
We shouldn't talk
Standing
about
on a
his
ladder-
personal life like that.
Standing on a ladder. They were Masons, I believe. Standing on a ladder. His dad owned the business, and he would toss him the bricks, and Jerry Rice would catch him. So I imagine that makes catching the pigskin substantially
I've done mason
easier.
work, and I understand how that stinks really bad, but it's whatever.
All right, but
I can see how it gets your hands ready, but not only that, it gets your hands really gritty, and not only that, when you need soft hands, you can't have uber calloused up hands. So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm sounding like I don't know. But
all right, guys. But I think we have had a great show, and Sam, thanks so much for staying up late with us, man. What time is it over there?
It's about 1 o'clock here now.
1 o'clock
Friday.
a.m. 1 o'clock a.m.
I guess fix yourself a stiff drink and watch Chef Curry cook up a victory tonight.
There you go. There you go. But with that, we're going to have to get out of here and wrap it up for today. Make sure you guys head over to voiceofbedlam.com and check out the blog, check out all the articles. Go over there, click on the audio podcast, video podcast, be directed to those pages, share it with your friends, hit like. We love the comments. Check us up on Instagram and hit us up, #BOBpod, and tell us who you think some more player cards should be. I'm thinking the next guy up is going to be Dandy Don Meredith, first quarterback, 1960s Cowboys. So maybe that's where we'll go next. But for Sam, Colin, John, I'm Andrew Bedlam, and we're getting the hell out of here.
Peace.